Hi, this is Taz. Welcome back to Taz's Wig Closet. Today we're going to discuss the best ways to secure your wig, and we're also going to be doing some troubleshooting. Modern machine-made wigs are kind of made for the masses. There's nothing custom about them. But most of them do come with some automatic adjustment options built in within the cap, but sometimes that's just not enough. When someone approaches me to discuss how to properly secure the wig that they're having some issues, my first question to them is, did you take your measurements, your circumference, your ear to ear, your front and your back, to be sure that you're buying the right cap size? If you have an ill-fitting cap, you're just not going to get a good secure fit. Also, I always recommend that you play around with the cap, the automatic adjustment system built in within the cap, because you can make some adjustments down or up within that cap, and that might just be enough. A common complaint is, gee Taz, my wig is riding up. It's riding up the back of my head, or it's riding back off of the top of my head. What am I going to do? There's just nothing that gives us anxiety like not having a secure fit in our wig, right? So this sounds a little counterintuitive, but 90% of the time when you have a wig that's riding up, it's because it's too tight. Your inclination and instinct is to tighten it even more, especially if it's riding up. I've got to tighten it more. But what happens is that it shrinks up on your head and it just kind of snaps off. You have to remember there's elastic around the perimeter of the cap that holds it on. So just picture a balloon and you put a piece of elastic around it. If you keep tightening it, it's just going to cinch up on that balloon until it pops off. Well, that's the same theory that's going on with your wig. It's just too tight and it's kind of lifting it right off of your head. So you might try just loosening those adjustments and see how that works out. Another common culprit is your own natural hair that you have underneath the cap. It's very important to secure your own natural hair correctly so that you get a nice secure cap fit. If you have very little hair or it's very short, this typically isn't a concern. But if you have longer or thicker type hair, you really need to pay attention to how you're securing it under the wig. There's a couple of different methods and options that you can use. If you have particularly long hair, or even this length actually, you could draw it back into a very low short pony or a bun. Put it very low at the very bottom of your nape, and then when you slip on the wig cap, you just tuck that up underneath, and it's inconspicuous and it should give you a nice secure fit. Now the other thing is, if you do have long hair and quite a bit of it, you could actually divide it like you're going to make pigtails. Divide it right down the middle, do two little pigtails or two little buns very low on the nape on either side, and then tuck those up into the wig cap when you apply the wig. I've also seen where if you've got a lot of hair but it's not very long, you still might want to draw that up. So you could divide the hair again, but this time you could secure it at the top, at the crown, instead of at the nape, and that should also work. What is happening under the cap when you haven't secured your natural hair correctly is that cap has a tendency to roll around because the cuticle of your natural hair is soft and slippery, and so you're getting a little bit of movement on the cap if it's resting on that bio hair. And the other reason is that you run the risk of your natural hair escaping the cap at some point if it's not secured correctly. If you do have natural hair that you're securing underneath your wig, I have a couple of suggestions, and that is using a nylon wig cap underneath. I have two examples here. This one is a fishnet type nylon wig cap, very breathable. It has little holes in it, and then you can just buy these. They look like little pantyhose pieces, but they're designed to stretch over the head and rest along the perimeter of the cap. What that will do is it will totally encompass all of your natural hair underneath this, so it won't escape and it won't interfere with the security of your cap. If you've determined that you've done all of your adjustments and you don't have a lot of natural hair to be a problem underneath the cap, then I suggest that you use a wig grip. It's a slim piece of material. It kind of looks like a headband, It's very soft and pliable. It has Velcro on either end. This will allow you to stretch it around the perimeter of your head and make a secure fit with it with the Velcro. Okay, now what that's going to do, it's going to stop the wig cap from moving around. It's also going to add a little bit of width. So if you are on the petite end of the circumference spectrum, a wig grip might actually give you just enough additional circumference to get a nice secure fit. So you tried the nylon wig caps, maybe you've tried a wig grip, nothing is working. This will work. This is It Stays Body Adhesive. This is a miracle worker. This is the best adhesive. It's water soluble, it's non-irritating. It comes in a little roller ball. And you're probably wondering why I store it upside down. It's so that that roller ball doesn't dry out. The first time I tried this, I kind of stored it right side up. Hadn't used it in a while, went to use it. The roller ball was totally frozen up. I couldn't get it moved. So I wasted some product. So I always store this upside down now. But this stuff is awesome. So you would just put a thin layer around the perimeter of the cap, even under the lace. You can stretch it from temple to temple, and you can even put a little bit at the nape. I find that if I secure the front, the back just kind of falls in line for me. But it is water soluble, so when you go to remove your wig, all you have to do is wet your fingers down a little bit, press some water into the areas where you've applied the It Stays, and it will come off without any pain, and then you can just wash your skin off. It comes off very easily. And this stuff will make it to where your wig just won't move, no matter what your circumstances are. You could do cartwheels, you could be working out, it could be super windy that day. This stuff works. Another option that you would have in the adhesive route would be some double-sided tape, and it's clear. And I just cut off 2 or 3 little strips, maybe 1 inch long. What I do is with the sticky side, I will go ahead and attach them to the cap. I usually do 1 at each temple and 1 at the lace front, or if it's not a lace front, right there at the front piece. And then I remove the backing so that it becomes double-sided. I secure my wig on my head, situated exactly where I want it to be, and then I press down in the areas where the tape is, just so that it kind of molds to my head there, and it is absolutely not going anywhere. I find that the tape is also water soluble, but it's a little more, there's a little more residue. It's a little harder to remove when you go to take it off. 1 application of tape might last 2 or 3 wearings on your wig. So this next option would work if you do have some natural hair. I'm going to show you these little clips that you can sew into the perimeter of your wig cap. They use pressure to clip. They've got little teeth on there, but they don't snag, and that's not uncomfortable at all. So let me demonstrate. Here I have my julienne and toasted marshmallow. And this was actually a trade that I did with a very good friend of mine. And she had some clips that secured into this cap. She hand sewed those clips right into the perimeter of the cap. She has 2 at the nape, 1 at each temple. So 4 clips for the total cap. Again, they snap. What you would do is after you apply the wig, you make sure the teeth are up into your natural hair, and then go ahead and snap it closed, and this wig won't be going anywhere. It's a very nice secure fit. And while we're discussing clips and options, if you do have some natural hair underneath the cap, you can always use some bobby pins. So wherever your trouble areas are, anywhere you want a little extra security, you can actually poke those right through the wefts and hook it into the bio hair. Of course, you can't do that with a hand-tied wig or a complete lace wig. So you'd have to have a machine wefted wig there to work with, but it clips right in underneath, and typically they're very well disguised. You can't really tell that they're there, but they do add a little layer of extra security. So let's go ahead and recap what we've discussed in terms of securing your wig properly. Make sure that you have the right size wig. Make sure that you've maxed out all of your options for the automatic adjusters built into the wig. We've also used some wig caps and some ways to secure your natural hair underneath so that it doesn't cause a problem for securing your wig. We've talked about two different types of adhesive options. We've talked about the It Stays Body Adhesive, which is the roll-on. We've also talked about the Wig Safe double-sided tape. And then lastly, we talked about some clips. Of course, you need some bio hair to make this work, but we talked about the type of clips you can sew into the perimeter of the cap, and also just a simple bobby pin that you can stick through the wefting and hook into your natural hair. Sometimes there may not be anything wrong with your head, there may not be anything wrong with the wig. It's just that you're not used to the sensation of having a wig against your head at all times. There is a little bit of an adjustment period that you have to go through to get used to how that wig feels on your head. If you're not used to wearing wigs, you might get the sensation that it's riding up the back or riding back on your forehead. You go to check it and it looks fine, but you're just getting these sensations because there is a little bit of anxiety there as well. I'll give the example of my best friend when she started to wear wigs on a regular basis. She had this problem. She was always complaining that she felt that the wig was riding up or riding back, and she was having trouble getting a secure fit, and that prevented her from wearing wigs, starting to wear wigs at work. So we discussed it and we talked about some options. In the process of getting used to wearing the wigs at home and in special functions and things like that, she just really became accustomed to having it on. But it does take quite a little bit of time to get used to the wig on your head and to feel confident that it's secure. So while there's no perfect solution to securing your wig, I've gone through some of the best methods that you can try. So I'm hoping I helped you solve some of those pesky issues that have been preventing you from securing your wig properly, and give you some tips and tricks and methods on how to do that. Everybody have a great day. See you next time on TAZ'S Wig Closet.